Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress. This is my work in progress and what I'm going to be working on today. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever project you are working on and work along as I chat, or alternatively, you can treat this like a podcast. Either way, I'm super happy to have you here with me today. Before we get started, if you would slap that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you're not a member of my Facebook group or following me on Instagram, look down in the description box below, hit up both of those links, and join in all the fun. So this particular project is a project that I was actually going to be doing in my September challenge. I ran out of time and didn't get it finished. However, my other two projects are much larger, and so rather than dragging them in here from where they are and moving everything back and forth, I thought I would just go ahead and start another project, because why not? So this is what I'm going to be working on today. This is actually a square 30 by 30. So I have my, of course, favorite square tips, which are my We Have a Handle on This tips. I have my favorite four-placer loaded. This is a replacement. I broke mine. Susan was kind enough to send me one, so I have a full set again. So super excited about that. And I'm just going to get started. So I'm going to rearrange things a little bit, zoom in so you guys can see what I'm working on. I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I think I've got everything set up and ready to go. I've got my pens, my tray, my drills, my canvas, my timer. Let me start that really quick. And I've got my notes. So let me get some drills going here. This tray is much bigger than the ones I would normally use, but since this is kind of going to be a lot of multi-placing to start with, I thought I would start there. So, okay, let's see. Life update. What do I want to share there? I finished physical therapy, so yay, that I'm not having to take time off to do that anymore. That was a bit of a challenge trying to fit all that in while I was trying to finish all those kits in September, but I do feel like figured out what the issue is. It is my hip. It is not really my knee. My hip causes problems, and that causes problems with my knee. So I've been doing lots of things to try and straighten out my hip, and it's doing better. Still not back to 100%, but I am back to going on walks with my youngest and stretching out my hip, and things are good. So it's good. What else? My oldest has started her new job. Ooh, I did not place those correctly. Started her new job. She's actually really happy with it. She likes the people that she works with, and she's making more money. So those are always bonuses. And she works with in a special ed classroom, and she's done it before, but she was with some kids who had lots of specific challenges before and who could be kind of violent. And so she wasn't looking forward to that again, which I got to say, as her mom, neither was I. Having your child come home and, finding bruises on them is not fun. I mean, even though I understand, some of these kids didn't understand what they were doing, still wasn't a lot of fun for her or for me. And this particular classroom that she's in is much, much different. It's much more relaxed. There aren't as many behavior issues. And so she's finding it much less stressful. It's a win-win. What else was going on? We went and had our medical exams for our permanent residency that we're applying for. The trip itself was interesting, but then I was getting a bit frustrated afterwards. So once they're done, the doctor has to submit the information via a program to Canada, of course. and the doctor is supposed to send us a tracking number. It's a sheet that shows, um, it doesn't show you the results of anything, it just shows you what tests have been completed and that it's been um, sent to the appropriate people in Canada. And I got the little tracking sheets for my son and my daughter, but I hadn't received the one for me. And I don't know if I told you guys, but the doctor that we traveled to, which was the closest one to us, is actually retiring. And so he's not always there. And, we played a bit of phone tag. I tried emailing, didn't get a response. I ended up finally getting a hold of him and telling him that I had the sheets for my kids, but not for myself. And so it wasn't a problem that they had been submitted to Canada. They had gone to Canada just fine. It's just that for whatever reason, the sheet that they were trying to send me so that I would have some kind of proof that it had been done and submitted, in case there was any questions, I wasn't getting. For some reason, their email was not playing nicely with my email. And so after a couple of days of back and forth phone calls, they finally just ended up sending it to a different email address and I got it just fine. So I don't know what the issue was, why it worked on some emails and not mine. I don't know. But anyway, it all worked out and I got it. So that part is done. And now it's just more hurry up and wait. So I don't know how long that's going to be until we get to the next step, whatever the next step is. I'm hoping whatever the next step is, it doesn't involve us having to rush around and do things. Like when they sent us the thing and said, you have to get this medical exam, like we knew we were going to have to get a medical exam. We did not know that we were going to have to travel states away to do it. And, I was telling my husband, when you go online to their immigration, there's a place for you because it has to be done by what they call one of their panel physicians. And there's a place for you to go and check and see, which we should have done before, but we didn't. Because, you don't know when you're going to get where at each step of the process. So, we kind of like, we sort of know what's coming next, but there's not a whole lot of point in us worrying about it until it's actually in front of us, if that makes sense. And so anyway, we ended up going and finding this panel physician, figuring out we had to travel to do it. You only get 30 days from the day that they tell you, hey, we're at this point, you need to get this done now. Which, a month to do something sounds like a lot, but there's no place for you to like call and ask questions. And while I also understand that because they would probably just be inundated, it also is not always helpful because, we didn't know, okay, this guy's retiring. We get down there. Is this going to work out? How's this going to do? What if we have to go somewhere else? And it wasn't inexpensive to have those done. It's not covered by insurance or anything. So it was just money out of our pocket. And so that part of it was frustrating. And yeah, just lots of frustration in the process. So I'm hoping whatever the next step is, we get a little bit more than 30 days because if something had gone wrong, I mean, if we'd ended up having to travel to a further state, then we would have been looking at flights and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get all of that logistically worked out could have been a nightmare. And I mean, also, I don't know how up to date Canada stays on all of this stuff. When we were going back and looking, because I wanted to have, something else. I wanted to know what our other options were in case this doctor that was close didn't work out. And because quite frankly, I was afraid we were going to get down there and we weren't going to be on the schedule, or he would have closed the office early. And so we wouldn't be able to do it or whatever. So just trying to have everything kind of lined up because we only get one shot at this. And going through their list, it hasn't been updated since 2018. And so, like, we had called a couple of other places thinking, well, this could be a backup. And like some of the offices were no longer open, which, the person that we went to, his office isn't going to be open either. So now, and he's still on the list as far as I know. So that's going to be unpleasant for people who think they can do that, and then find out that office is closed or whatever. You think they would keep it a little more updated, but I guess that's not how any government works, I suppose. But we got it all done. It's all good. Everything's been submitted. So, like I said, now it's just more hurry up and wait for us, which is okay. We're just trying to, I don't know, bide time. I'm trying to, slowly go through the house. What things do we need to fix? What things do we need to update? That kind of thing. What things do I need to get rid of, etc. So, um, let's see what else. Oh, speaking of moving and doing all of that, my husband and I had been talking at one point about which of our cars, if any, we wanted to take with us to Canada. And we've been talking about buying an electric vehicle, or at least a hybrid and a new vehicle, because all of ours are kind of old. But when we were looking around in some of his Facebook groups for people who are doing the same thing that we are, somebody commented, because there was a lady that was asking, she and her husband were looking at buying an electric vehicle, and they were asking questions about it, and whether or not this particular person, she and her husband were both dual citizens, and whether they wanted to buy it in the US or buy it in Canada. And several people in the group said, well, you have to be really careful because Canada has different rules about manufacturing when you're talking about automobiles, that a certain percentage of the vehicle has to be made in North America. And it's not just, I guess in the US, it's just assembled for a lot of things, for like government rebates and stuff like that. But in Canada, it has to be actually manufactured, not just assembled. And also, Canada is going to, like here where I live, we don't really have any emission rules or anything. So that will be different moving up there. And then when they were talking about the manufacturer, also someone said, if you have a loan on the vehicle, you won't be allowed to import it, because if you still have a loan on it, that means that you don't technically own the car and you don't have the title to it. The bank does. So until you have the title, you wouldn't be allowed to import it. And I thought, okay, well, that makes sense. Not something that had ever occurred to me. So it looks like we're going to be taking our current vehicles with us to Canada. One, because they're paid off and we have the titles, but two, I guess there's also um, a dollar amount cap on how much the vehicle can be worth that you get, that is like customs, import tax, duty free, whatever you want to call it, when we initially move in after we get approved for the PR. So if we had a new vehicle that was worth more, then we could possibly still be paying duties on it moving in, which again, I haven't read through all of that stuff, but I guess in my mind, I was just thinking, well, you've told us we can move in, so whatever we bring with us would be duty free, but I guess that's not true. So I need to do some research on that too and figure out what all the rules are going to be there, because, and of course, I talked to my husband about it and he's like, oh, well, I knew that. I told you that. And I'm like, no, you may have known that, but you didn't share it with me. I remember us talking about, which of the cars we want to take, but nothing was ever said about we need to have the titles or we only get $10,000, duty free or whatever. That was never mentioned, because I would have remembered that. But So we'll see. At least now we know, and that will hopefully, I mean, it makes things easier in a lot of ways, but it's also a little bit scarier for me, never having lived in a different country. I mean, I've lived in the same state in pretty much the same area my whole life. And so moving someplace where, I don't know how it works to get insurance, to get car insurance, to get house insurance, to get, um, car tags, to get my driver's license, any of that kind of stuff is just scary. And I mean, I don't think it'll be any big deal, but yeah, it's just fear of the unknown, I guess. And my husband is not very much help because when I say, "Well, how do you do this?" "Well, I don't know." So I often ask him, "Did you pay any attention when you lived there?" Because so often when I ask him stuff, his answer is, "I don't know." I guess that's just a factor too. He just is not a warrior like I am. And so, he just approaches it as, well, it'll all work out. Whatever. We'll figure it out when we get there. And not that I don't think we can't figure it out when we get there. I'm a planner. I like to know ahead of time. And so that's a little bit scary. But anyway, and I finished my big project in September. So I spent a little bit of time this weekend kind of getting caught up on some house work and things that I'd let kind of slide while I was busy in September. So feeling pretty good about that. My house is clean again. That feels good. I mean, not that it was super dirty before, but just I don't like it when things get dusty and it bothers me. And I had the opportunity to take a bit of time and clean some of that up. So I did. Okay, I think that is all for my life update. I think I could be sharing some more as we go along, but we'll see. The biggest thing, if I move on to diamond painting stuff, the biggest thing that I have to report is that I finished my September challenge. So if you guys haven't seen the video on that, go check it out. It's the video that posted yesterday. And I'm happy to report that I made it. And I think I said in the video, I'm actually pretty happy with myself that I managed to do that. It was more difficult than I thought it would be. There were definitely days when I was like, I didn't feel like diamond painting, but I knew I had to because I didn't want to get too far behind. I think it was okay for a challenge in that while there were days where it felt like a slog, at least I was working on smaller canvases. So if there was one I didn't particularly like, it wasn't very long before I was moving on to something else. So that part of it was nice. And there really was only probably one kit that I didn't really like. And weirdly enough, it was the other square that I did. And the squares were not very good quality. There was a lot of gapping, and the drills they were very irregular in size. And so even after trying to kind of, pick out the best ones, there still ended up being a lot of gapping and things. And while it was a cute image, the finished product didn't end up turning out as well as I had hoped. So that was a little disappointing, but I did finish it. And now that I'm done with that project, I can move on to other things, which is good because I definitely have other things I want to be doing. I need to get busy on my Drills and Chills canvas for this year. I'm doing the Miss Havisham canvas. I've already unboxed that one, and it is kitted up and ready to go. So I will be starting on that and trying to get it finished ASAP because I still have 4 canvases to do for my big 10, and I would love to meet that goal. So I have the drills and chills that I want to finish in October, and then alongside that, I'm also going to be continuing to work on my Heaven and Earth design, which is one of my big 10. So I will be continuing to work on that kit. I've already done a little bit of work on it, but I've not gotten very far, and that will probably be the one I finish last, I think. So I have the Heaven and Earth design to finish, and then, well, once I get done with my drills and chills, hopefully at the end of October, then in November, DP for pets will start. Or I mean DP for vets. So if you haven't seen the information about that, I will try to remember to post a link up in the corner. You can go check out that video. Um, that starts November 1st. I have several projects that I want to do for that one. They're all kind of small. I've got like a journal and some like flag stuff that I want to do, but they're kind of smaller kits, not 30 by 30 small, but like I think one's 30 by 40, maybe one's 40 by 50. I'm not even sure at this point. It's been so long. But I'm excited because I've had these kits kind of laying around forever, it feels like. So being able to work on those and get them done will be good. And then I have also, for my Big 10, my Diamond Painting Deutschland canvas was going to be way too big, so I will be substituting a Diamond Dots kit. And I found something that I could order online that will work for my DP for vets. So that kit will be coming. So that will let me, kind of hit two things at once. I will be able to do a kit for DP for vets, and I will also be able to knock out one of my Big 10. I have my small craftably that I will be doing, and my Distracted by Diamonds. So you'll be seeing my Distracted by Diamonds unboxed here probably fairly quickly on the channel, and then also I will be kitting up the craftably so I can begin work on both of those. And then that means that I can focus on my Heaven and Earth design after that to finish those and get all of my Big 10 finished. And then, because I definitely want to meet that goal. And then my other goals, I'm trying to make headway on them. I ordered a bunch of stuff from Etsy shops that I'm going to do an unboxing, like a little small Etsy shop haul on the channel once I get all of them. I've gotten about half of them. I'm still waiting on a couple of them to arrive. Once they do, then I will unbox all of those and share those with you. Just a quick, easy way for me to meet that goal and to help out some small businesses at the same time. So win-win. And yeah, so those are two goals I'm trying to meet. The new to me companies and the Big 10. And let's see, what else do I want to work on? Oh, well, I'm already looking ahead to next year because I don't want to just repeat the same goals that I had this year. That would be boring. And also, I don't want to. I mean, once I've done something, I want to do something else that's going to kind of challenge me. I have a couple of ideas. Don't have them fully fleshed out yet, but working on it. I will likely still have the hours goal because I do want to work towards that mastery, which is 10,000 hours. So that's going to be a multi-year goal. And I will likely have a budget goal, although I'm probably going to work really hard on making it a more realistic one. I don't know what that looks like yet, but clearly what I had was not enough. But I don't want to make it really big so that I'm spending the kind of money that I was spending my first year diamond painting, because that was a little ridiculous. Also, I'm finding it a little hard to plan because I don't really know where we're going to be. And, with everything up in the air, not knowing when we may be moving, when we have to finish kind of all the steps and things that we have to do for our PR, and, kind of trying to figure that whole thing out is challenging and a little anxiety inducing, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, I just feel like that makes it a little hard to plan. My husband keeps telling me, we just need to make plans, and then if we need to adjust them, we can. And he's not wrong. I just don't deal well with change. I feel like once I plan something, I want it to be whatever it is that I've planned. And while realistically, I know that's not always how it works, I find it challenging sometimes to deal with things when they change. I think that's one of the reasons my husband and I get along so well is he's so much more easygoing than I am. And so he just kind of lets stuff like that roll off his back, where I find that much more difficult to do. And so, yeah, anyway. And also, I'm still debating whether or not I want to change the way I post videos. I currently post 5 days a week, and it just seems like I'm moving to larger projects. And so I don't know if posting that many times a week is still going to be feasible if I'm doing more large projects. I just, I'm only one person. I can only diamond paint so fast. And, does that mean that I still have time to do all of the videos and everything like I need to do and keep this current schedule? Or do I need to scale back on that a little bit because it's just going to take me longer to complete projects in between videos than, it does currently? And I don't know. That's something that may change as well, depending on when, our move ends up happening. And yeah, I'm just kind of at that place at the moment where I feel like there's so many balls kind of being juggled up in the air that I don't want to commit to something because I don't know where they're all going to land, if that makes any sense. Maybe again, that's just me wanting to be the planner and kind of have everything all lined out before we do anything or whatever. And I don't know. Again, I'm trying to be more go with the flow like my husband, but my personality does not always lend itself to that. I am probably one of the least patient people on the planet in many ways. And so that can make it a challenge. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, you guys, I got my adjustable height table, and I gotta say, I'm actually loving it. Now, I got it for a specific reason. My therapist recommended that because I do a lot of crafting and I am sitting a lot while I'm crafting, and it's my hip that's causing the issue, that maybe an adjustable table so that I could sit or stand when I needed to would be beneficial. So my husband and I went out looking around, and I really wanted to get one that had like a hand crank because I just thought that would be easier and something that would be less prone to breaking. That's my thing with a lot of stuff is like, I don't want a refrigerator that keeps a grocery list for me. I just need a refrigerator that keeps my food cold. I don't need a dishwasher that talks to me. I just need a dishwasher that gets my dishes clean. That kind of thing. I don't need a car that I have to, take to a computer diagnostic person. I don't know that I'll get away from that if we get an electric car, but Anyway, you get my point. Just, I feel like the more moving parts it has, the easier it is for it to break. So I really just wanted a hand crank one, but I couldn't find one that was the size I wanted. I wanted a really large one because the whole point of this was not only to help my hip, but also to make it so that I could do my larger projects on it rather than constantly commandeering our dining room table. I mean, when even my 20-year-old was kind of annoyed that I was taking up the table and we couldn't eat on it, I was like, well, that's probably time for me to make a change. So we went out and looked and found one. It was pretty pricey, but again, I gotta say, I'm actually loving it. My husband put it together for me. It wasn't super complicated to put together. It came in two pieces. Like, we got the legs and the electronic parts in one package, and then we got the actual tabletop in a second package. And I guess they ship it separately because it has to do with the weight or something. But we got all the pieces and he put it all together, and I am actually really loving it. It is big enough. It's a 60 by 30 inches tabletop, so it is plenty big enough for me. It currently is housing both my Heaven and Earth design and my Mrs. Havisham with room to spare. So I have room to put my drills, my trays, my pens, everything that I need kind of off to the side in front of, and with the canvas in front of me. I can sit or I can stand while I work. So if my hip starts to bother me or my knee starts to bother me, I can move from standing to sitting or vice versa. And it's just been really helpful. So I'm actually really loving it. I will stick a link for it in the description down below. Like I said, it was pretty pricey. However, it'll be worth it for us. Just for many reasons. We get our dining room table back. It's, hopefully going to reduce my health issues, which means my mental health will be better as well as my physical health. And it keeps me from taking over the dining room table. So that is available for its intended use. And it's in the living room, so I don't have to move stuff back and forth. I can just leave stuff sit there when it's time for dinner. I don't have to worry about trying to move stuff off or just, we eat on TV trays or whatever, because we don't really like doing that. We like to sit down at the table and eat. And yeah, I just think it's going to fix a lot of those problems for us. So, might be an expense that other people wouldn't go to, but just for a variety of reasons for us, it made a lot of sense, and I'm really happy with it. Now, I don't know how long the actual mechanics of it will last. That, again, was my fear in buying it, was that, again, I mean, if something breaks on it, then it basically, I don't know if we can just buy a replacement power unit. I don't know if it would be economically feasible to do that, even if we could. Um, yeah, just a lot of unknowns. But in the short term, it was a good solution for us, especially, it's been helping me. It's already been helping me with my issues with my hip. So it's been worth it to me just for that. I get to continue doing my diamond painting. I'm not in pain all the time. And yeah, it's just been good for that. I'm actually really amazed. It still kind of blows my mind once we figured out what the actual problem is, how quickly things kind of got better. I felt like I struggled with it for so long and nothing seemed to make any difference. And I was just getting really discouraged because, I'm old. I get that as you get older, things just become aches and pains and there's not always something you can do about it. But it just felt like we weren't addressing the real issue because everything we were doing wasn't working. And I feel like, if I'd gotten some sort of relief, maybe I would have felt better about it, but I wasn't really getting any. And, it would be better for a short time. And then as soon as I stopped PT or whatever, then I was right back to where I started. And that's so frustrating. Like, I don't know how people who are in chronic pain manage, because that would just, I mean, my mom had chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. So, I know what that looks like, but I can't, just from, me dealing with the issues with my knee and everything, and how frustrating it is, and how many things it meant that I couldn't do, or that I could only do a certain way, or I was very limited in doing, um, was so super frustrating that I can't imagine what that's like for people who deal with chronic pain. I mean, that's just crazy to me. Oh, you guys, I kind of want to stop working on the white and work on a different color, because I feel like these are going to start popping. Like, I don't know if you can see here, they're not exactly lined up, so maybe that's part of my problem, but like then they're not in the squares, and that's super frustrating. Also, I hate when my washi tape does this. Like, just stick. Why does it? Super frustrating. This washi tape was not the stickiest when I put it down. I mean, it's not supposed to be super sticky. That's the whole point of washi tape. I get that, but when it rolls up like that, it drives me bananas. Probably my fault for wearing long sleeves, but anyway. So this is probably going to be a shorter whip and chat today. One, because these drills are kind of frustrating me, and two, I think I need a couple of days of recovery from doing the September challenge. I mean, I normally diamond paint every day, so I don't think it was that. I think it's just the mental fatigue of, constantly, okay, I got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to get this done, got to get this done. And I think I'm just mentally tired, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because I'm also in the back of my head going, okay, I need to get working on my drills and chills canvas. I need to get working on this because I want to make these goals. But then there's also that part of me that's like, okay, if I just give myself a day to recuperate, is that the end of the world? Probably not. Ay, ay, ay. And my husband has been called to go do storm work where the hurricane hit. And so that's never any fun. I worry about him when he's gone. You never know what it's going to be like when they're traveling someplace like that. And yeah, plus I just miss having him around. So that will not be fun. But he loves helping people like that. He really enjoys going out and traveling to all these places and meeting new people and things like that. So he's excited to go, even if I'm not super thrilled about it. Yeah, I'm getting super frustrated with these drills. So I think I'm going to go work on some other things and come back to this when I'm not so frustrated. We'll see if I can get these to stop being popping drills. They're already popping, and that's annoying. Well, we'll see. I think I'm glad I waited to do this one, and I didn't do this one in my 30 by 30 challenge either, because if these had been like popping drills and that had been one of the ones I did, that would have been super frustrating as well. Okay, so I think I'm going to call an end to it there, guys. Let me know, it was kind of boring because all I was doing was white, but sometimes you just got to put in the time, right? Thanks for sticking around till the end. I hope you got something accomplished on your work in progress, even if my whip and chat was a little less than usual today. But I have new projects coming up, new things coming up on the channel, so make sure you stick around. Before you leave, guys, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.